So if you want to run an open source and local AI model on your computer, and you actually need something that is smart and can get the job done, then I do recommend to go with a model with at least 20 to 40 billion parameters, because usually on that level, most open source models are pretty smart. They can be used for coding, for agentic tasks, and overall they're quite reliable. And also, if you look at the number, here is Qwen 3.6 with 27 billion parameters, and right now it is actually the highest rated or the most intelligent model according to artificial analysis. And yeah, this model is ranking #1 for open source models with the size of 20 to 40 billion parameters. So that's actually quite impressive. And again, this model is actually beating or on par with some of the best models from some big companies from just several months ago. So the model is better than Grok, it is better than GPT, it is better than Gemini, than Xiaomi, it is better than Kimi, JLM, and some other best models from just several months ago. So that is quite impressive that now we have this open source model that we can download and run locally. But perhaps there is a big problem, because even though it is only 27 billion parameters and it is actually way smaller than some models in this list, and they're usually about like hundreds of billions of parameters, sometimes even trillion of parameters, but still you need a computer with 24 gigabytes of memory, preferably GPU memory, and that is the minimum. Ideally, you might want to have something like 32 gigabytes, and that will give you plenty of headroom for the context length. But again, because of the GPU market situation, it is very expensive, and not everyone can afford a GPU with 24 or 32 gigabytes of video memory. So even though it is actually more attainable, the model is actually not too big, but because of the GPU price and there is the memory crisis, it is very difficult to run a decent open source model on a computer. However, recently there is a new model emerging from a startup called Prism ML. So they just announced, or actually released, a model called Bonsai 27B, and yeah, of course, it is a model with 27 billion parameters. So it is actually on par with Qwen 3.6, 27 billion parameters. Actually, it was based from this particular model. But what makes Bonsai to be more interesting is the fact that it is designed to be able to run on a phone. So the model itself is only about 3.9 gigabytes. That is insane, because the full precision of Qwen is about 50 megabytes. So yeah, it is crazy that we have a similar model, but it is only less than 1/10 of the size of the original model. So it is possible because they use a 1-bit architecture. So it is probably something that quite similar to a model compression. So when you download a model, perhaps via LM Studio, you might have realized that you can download a model with maybe 6-bit or 4-bit or 2-bit precision. And it is kind of similar, but it is not exactly the same, because Bonsai is not a model that is compressed to be 1-bit. No, it is a model that is designed from the beginning to be a 1-bit model. So they're not compressing a big model into a smaller model with a 1-bit precision. No, it is literally a model that is designed to be 1-bit, and that's why it can be very smart. And also, at least according to their own benchmark, the Trust Me Bro benchmark, the model retains about a 90 to 95% of the intelligence level of the Qwen 3.6 model. So it is very similar, and yeah, it is actually a good thing, because now we have a much more small model, and yet it is more or less similar to the bigger model. So that is quite impressive. And by the way, they do have the 2-bit variation called ternary Bonsai. If you want to have that, it is also a bit smarter, although the size is bigger at 5.9 gigabytes, but it is available. So this model can be downloaded for free. You can run the model on your computer. In fact, you can run it on your iPhone. If you do have an iPhone, you can install this app called Pocket Paul AI, and then you can download the model to your device and run it locally. Now, I don't have an iPhone, so I cannot test this, but I do have a computer, so I'm going to test that using a program called LM Studio. So if you want to download this model to your computer, to your laptop, then you can use LM Studio, and you can download the program via lmstudio.ai, and you can install the program, and after that you can open LM Studio. So to get the model, just click the search button and then type Bonsai 27B. So there is a good chance that there are several users offering the model, and I recommend to just go with the official source, which is Prism ML. So right here you can see that there are two options, ternary and Bonsai, the regular 1-bit variation. Ternary is 2-bit, this one is just 1-bit. Now I'll go with the 1-bit version, and right here if you click the download options, you will see that there are several different variations of the model. So it is not exactly variation. The one that you want to download, the one that is actually 1-bit, is this one, Bonsai 27B Q1_0. So this is the real 1-bit model. There are some other variations for the Bonsai with full precision, so they do offer the full precision model, the F16. That's why it is very big. And also they do have the drafter model, this part. You don't need that if you are not using the bigger model. There is no need to download this, so just download the Q1_0 model if you want to try the 1-bit variation. Now after that you can click use in new chat, and here you can choose the setting. So you can choose the context length, and by the way, the 3.9 gigabytes number that they mentioned in their announcement was actually without including the context. If you increase the context, then as you can see here, according to the estimator from LM Studio, it will use more GPU. So yeah, that is something that you need to know. And also some other settings down here will affect the memory consumption of the model. So that is also another thing that you need to be aware of. But anyway, I'll just use the default settings, and I'm going to, oh, you know what? Let me just show my task manager first so we can see together how many gigabytes that it would consume when running the model. And disclaimer, I actually haven't run or tested this model on my computer, so this is going to be my first time using it. As you can see, my computer is using 2.4 gigabytes of my GPU memory. So let's see how many more gigabytes that I have left after running the model. Let me just click load model, and okay, it is jumping to 5.8. Okay, now it is 8 gigabytes. So I think the 5 gigabyte figure from LM Studio was pretty much on point. Yeah, it is using about 5.6 gigabytes of my GPU, so I think that's actually quite acceptable. Now let me just close this and let me just start chatting with the model. Okay, let's try the strawberry testing. How many R's in the word strawberry? Okay, usually a simple question like that might trip some smaller models, but okay, it is thinking, and there you go. So we got an accurate answer. It is indeed, there are 3 R's in the word strawberry, so it's a pretty good sign. Let's try the car wash test. I have a dirty car and I want to go to a car wash. It is only about 50 meters. Should I walk or should I drive a car? Okay, car wash. Sorry about that. Okay, let's send the message. And I think you can disable thinking if you want to get a faster answer from the model. So you can disable that, but I think it's better to have the thinking variation, given that it is an not very big model, so I think thinking is actually very useful. Okay, for just 50 meters, walking is definitely the better choice. Okay, it is still not able to answer this question correctly. Yeah, actually, even some big models are falling for this trick question. For just 50 meters, walking is better. But again, the goal is to pause the car. So yeah, it is not able to understand that context. Okay, yeah, it is not exactly a good answer. But anyway, let me try something else. I will try the vision capability. I will just upload this image. Okay, so this is a picture of several planes, but I want to know how many planes in this picture according to the model. Let me ask something about how many planes in this picture. There are 4 planes, but I want to see if it can understand the nuance about this particular object up here. So this is not exactly a plane. It looks like a plane, and in some ways you can call it a plane, but it is more like a space shuttle. It is something that goes to space, but then it comes back land to Earth, similar to a plane, but it is not technically like the other 3 planes right here. Okay, we're still waiting, and I'm kind of worried that it is probably going to be running out the context length very, very soon, because I just set the context length to be about 8,000 tokens. Okay, I can't view the images directly. Okay, but if you're referring to the famous NASA photograph, okay, let me just the answer. Let me see that. Okay, it will be 4. There are 3 distinct aircraft, and then in the formation, the 747, the shuttle, the pair of F-15s. If you count each individual airframe separately, it would be 4. Okay, that is actually a satisfactory answer. That's really good. Now, I want to see if the model can use a tool. And I think I'm going to start a new chat because I'm kind of worried that it might be using too much context or tokens on this chat. So I'll just start a new window and I'll enable the search feature. And by the way, this is not something that you will have automatically in LM Studio. You have to install this, and I actually have a video about how you can get the web search feature on LM Studio. You can check that out on my channel. Okay, so let's ask something like, what is the current stock price of NVIDIA? Let's ask that question. And I think the model doesn't have a label of tool calling in LM Studio, but that doesn't always mean that the model cannot use a tool. Okay, maybe it cannot use a tool. So the engine protocol message. Okay, so it is actually a token problem, a context window problem, and it was actually something that I expect because I only set it to be 8,000. So when you're using it for reading documents or you want to use it for getting content from the web, you want to increase the context length because it will actually read plenty of information. I think 64,000 is the minimum, but I think you might want to go with 100,000 or more just to be safe. Okay, let me check my task manager again. And oh wow, it is now using 12 gigabytes of video memory for 100,000 tokens of context length. So yeah, that's actually quite a lot. So if you don't have a GPU with 16 gigabytes of video memory, it might spill to your system memory or might not be able to run it all. So yeah, that is something to know if you have a more limited hardware. Okay, so now it is getting the answer. I think it has done the search. It is processing the prompt. It is still thinking. Okay. Anyway, let me just check the number from Google. NVIDIA stock price right now, 195.75. Let me check that on LM Studio. It is still thinking, but I think it probably would answer the question correctly. I think I can see that from the thinking process. It is mentioning the number 195 several times. Fluctuating. Okay, I'll take it. It is pretty accurate. So yeah, it is able to answer questions. You can use it for tool calling. You can use it for web search, and you can use it to analyze a picture. So yeah, for a model with 27 billion parameters and only uses like 4 or 5 gigabytes of video memory. I think that is pretty good. That means if you have a GPU with 8 gigabytes of memory, you can run a model that is on par with Qwen 3.6 27B, which is the best open source model for that range at the moment. And you don't have to upgrade your GPU. You can just use whatever that you hardware that you have on your computer or laptop, or you can even run it on your iPhone if you want to. So yeah, that's pretty amazing. And if you are interested about this technology, I'm going to put the link of this announcement in the description down below. So I hope you learned something from this video. And if you want to see some really cool things that you can do with AI, then you can subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on my next video. Have a great day.